Hey, what's going on, bikers? Pierce here with Electric Bike Report, and today we have the Aventon Pace 500 step through. This is a 500 watt Class 3 e-bike that blurs the line in between commuter and cruiser. Let's get into it. So one of the big changes with this bike from the standard Pace 500 is the fact that it's step through. You'll notice there's no bar right here. It's a nice low step frame. And they have really designed this to be that good median in between being a sporty cruiser and a very casual commuter. This walks that fine line between being something you can commute on and also something you can just go on a nice casual ride on. You're going to have plenty of room for saddle height and a wide array of rider heights that are going to be able to fit this bike. And if you do happen to get off the bike fast, you fall off the front of the saddle, there isn't going to be any bar there for you to hit. So I have become very fond of this low step frame here. You have a very upright position when you're riding this bike. And overall, as I've mentioned, it does feel like that hybrid between cruiser and commuter. It takes the best of both worlds and puts them into one bike. Now, while there will be a lot of cruisers on this bike, there are still some Class 3 speeds this bike is capable of thanks to its 500 watt motor. We put this 500 watt motor through its paces on our hill test, where we see how well it does in throttle only and maximum pedal assist. You can already tell it's working harder, but that makes sense. I'm not pedaling with the bike. We're approaching the steepest part of the hill now, around 11 miles per hour. You can definitely hear the motor working, but we're still moving decent. I think we're gonna make it. All right, now we're around 8 miles per hour. This is where it's usually really hard for these bikes. Not all of them make it, but it looks like this Aventon Pace 500 step through probably will. So what I'm really gathering is if you don't want to work hard when you're climbing up a steep hill, you don't really have to. I mean, it's rare hills get any steeper than that, and your motor and battery are gonna thank you if you help. But if it's been a long day, you're headed home from work and you just don't want to pedal, but you rode the bike in, you can definitely hit this throttle and have it do all the work for you. This is pretty impressive. Got up the steepest part of the hill around 15 miles per hour there in maximum pedal assist. And we're still chugging along nicely here. I think my average speed will be around 14 if I keep this up. This bike just rolls fast. So when I went up the hill in throttle only, I had a time of 1 minute and 43 seconds with an average speed of 10.5 miles per hour. I could definitely tell the bike was working, but it never felt like it was going to give out on me. This gave me the impression that if it's been a long day at work and I just want to get home without pedaling, I can easily use the throttle on this bike and not expend any effort on my own end. So when it comes to pedal assist level 5, this bike actually flew up the hill. We had a time of 1 minute 12 seconds with an average speed of 15.1 miles per hour. That's pretty impressive. I think a lot of that is coming from this being a slightly lighter weight e-bike than some of its competitors, but still having that 500 watt motor to propel you forward. It also really helped that I had an 8-speed drivetrain. Every time it got hard to pedal, I had a gear I was able to shift into, and I shifted 4 or 5 times up that hill, and it never was hard on me as the rider. The bike picked up the slack, and I think this 8-speed drivetrain is a great choice for a bike like this, where you're going to be doing steep hills sometimes and straightaways sometimes. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this 8-speed Shimano Acera drivetrain here. This drivetrain allows you to ride this bike turned completely off, and it also allows you to have a perfect cadence, the cadence you prefer regardless of how steep the hill is. Basically, I'm able to spin at the same rate on a steep hill as I am on flat ground because that motor I talked about earlier picks up the slack. So I'm a big fan of this 8-speed drivetrain. It's connected to a rapid fire shifter, so shifting is very crisp, very consistent and quick. Overall, I think this is the right drivetrain for the bike. So you may have heard me mention how this drivetrain allows you to ride the bike even if it's completely dead or if you don't have the battery installed. Thankfully, this 48 volt 11.6 amp hour battery, it holds its charge quite well. We actually ended up testing the range of this battery in 2 different ways. One where we were pedaling the full distance on maximum pedal assist, and the other where we were on minimum pedal assist. When our rider was in minimum pedal assist, he reached 51.3 miles with an average speed of 10 miles per hour before the battery finally died. Anything over 50 miles per hour is pretty impressive, especially when your test rider is 6'5", 220 pounds like they were. So we had a little bit bigger rider test the bike, and it still got over 50 miles. So if you are below 220 pounds, I think you're gonna be just fine on the range. When I tested this in maximum pedal assist, I got 23.52 miles with an average speed of 23 miles per hour. Now, that shows this bike can fly, and you're gonna get to where you're going at over 20 miles per hour on average if you are riding in maximum pedal assist. So bottom line with this battery, you're going to have about a 25-mile variance in range, and there is a lot of difference in feeling when it comes to pedal assist level 1 to pedal assist level 5, which leads me into my next point, which is our circuit test. So here at Electric Bike Report, we like to conduct what we call the circuit test, where we test each pedal assist level on the bike around a 1-mile circuit to really distinguish and determine how fast you're going in each assistance level and how each assist level varies from one another. One impression that I've gathered from Aventon bikes as a whole is they've always done a very good job creating a true pedal assist level 1 and a level 5. So what does that mean? It means pedal assist level 1, it's barely helping you. In fact, it really feels like it's just taking away that additional weight the motor and battery add to the bike to make it really ride like a standard bicycle. And then a true pedal assist level 5 setting on this bike means this bike is doing everything it can to get you as close to that class 3 speed of 28 miles per hour as it can. You're going to be going very fast, and as you saw in our range test, we got 23 miles per hour on our average speed. So when it comes to pedal assist level 1, I got just below 15 miles per hour, which is about 2 miles per hour faster than this bike turned completely off. And when it comes to this bike in its highest pedal assist level, I got 25.4 miles per hour on average around our circuit test. So essentially what I have gathered is you're going to be able to go at that leisurely pace very easily, and you're gonna be able to go very fast if that's what you wanna do too. Aventon has made it very easy to look at all your different pedal assist settings on your LCD display here. This display is adjustable forwards and backwards, and it's going to show you pretty much everything that you need to know on your ride. You have your miles per hour, current pedal assist level, trip miles, total miles, and battery life. Now, I would like to see a wattage meter on future models, but I'll get more into that later. You can control all of those settings on your little control panel here that allows you to go up or down in pedal assist level, actuate some of those odometer settings, and turn the bike on and off. Next to that, you have a lever throttle that gets you up to 20 miles per hour. I find this throttle engages very smooth to where you can tell there is power behind the bike, but it's not going to show off and blow you off the back of the bike with how powerful it is. So one thing that I do like that Aventon is doing with their bikes is they make it so you have to be in pedal assist level 1 to engage the throttle. Basically, when you turn on the bike, you'll notice that throttle doesn't do anything, and that's a big safety feature. Newer riders and riders who aren't familiar with the throttle are going to be a lot safer on this bike because you start out without that throttle being in use. Again, you'll have to be in that first pedal assist level before you can throttle away. You do have a nice set of hydraulic disc brakes from Zoom. They're 180 millimeter rotors front and rear, and so far so good with how these brakes are performing. I still have a few questions about them, so we're actually going to conduct a brake test where we see how fast we can stop on this bike from 20 miles per hour. Don't you just love the smell of burnt rubber? Well, I just smelled that 5 total times where we just did our brake test from around 20 miles per hour. I'm super impressed with these Zoom hydraulic disc brakes. As I mentioned earlier, they're hooked up to those 180 millimeter rotors. After my 5 tests, all from 20 miles per hour, it only took me an average stopping distance of 13 feet 4 inches to get this baby to a complete stop. Hopefully you guys can see these skid marks right here because it really frames the consistency these brakes provided me with. Not only was the stopping power there, the predictability was there too, and that is just as important. If you don't know how your brake is going to grab, that's dangerous. And with this being a Class 3 bike, a proper set of brakes is extremely important, and I feel those Zoom hydraulic disc brakes are indeed that. So at the end of the day, I think Aventon is doing a really good job with their Pace 500 step through. Not only is it versatile, it keeps me comfortable, which I very much value in a bike like this, where I'm going to be doing a lot of on-road miles over those handlebars. The upright positioning and comfortable contact points really made for a very smooth riding experience that is going to be good for commuters and cruisers alike. Now, as far as things I'd like to see changed in the future, I wouldn't mind seeing a wattage display on the display here. Reason being is when I can see the wattage the motor and battery are working with, I know how to work harder or easier to maximize that battery life. Basically, if I can see the wattage, I know whether I'm not working hard enough or I'm working too hard, and I can ultimately extend the range of the bike overall. I think Aventon is doing this bike right. This is a great bike for someone who isn't really conformed to one category or another, but they know that they want to ride on road. So with a couple of frame sizes and colors they have, having the step through and the crossbar model, I'm confident that there's a Pace 500 that will satisfy your needs. With that being said, this is a great bike for that $1,500 price point. I think the Zoom brakes were a nice touch, and I think especially for the price point you're paying, that this is a killer bike. So with that being said, this pretty much sums up the Aventon Pace 500 step-through review, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you thought of the review in the comments below. I always love to read what you guys have to say. And if you want to know more about the bike, check out the description. I have a written review going very in depth on this bike and what it's all about. You should be very well informed by that review, all said and done. Next to that link, you'll see a like button. Be sure to hit that for me if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe for future ones. With that being said, my name is Pierce with Electric Bike Report, and I'll see you next review.